she was telling, about the patriarchic, everything. Patriarchy. Everything is based like about the father, the man,
The man.
Especially in Latino culture.
Exactly.
Yes.
Too much machismo in this time. So I
think there's too much masculinity today?
Yes.
So
not today, maybe before.
So hold on.
I refrain from that.
So here's I think it's kind of a false conflict, because it's like obviously women don't want to be more masculine, and they don't necessarily, it's not their thing because they're women, but it's like, do you think it's better if men today were to be more feminine?
Not feminine exactly, but like I say,
more sensitive.
Yeah, more sensitive. Yes.
I just think there's too much focus on like the idea of men being masculine or men being feminine to begin with, because I think a lot of the ways that we uphold the patriarchy is by making men feel like they have to be a certain way. Right. And that's what I mean when I say patriarchy hurts everybody. 100%. When a man feels like he can't cry or he's a bitch, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
I mean, look, I understand how that could apply to traditional cultures, like Middle Eastern culture or something like that. But it's like in America, when I look at the things that are meant to influence young men that are like establishment kind of stuff, I mean, internet is a whole other story. The things that are being promoted by society, it really seems like almost all of it is in the opposite direction, really telling men that, okay, you need to, don't be a man anymore, wear dresses, yada, yada, yada. So where is the pressure to be a man coming from in America today? I don't see it.
This room? Shit.
Yeah,
no offense, I'm making a joke there, but I mean the idea that men need to be a certain way anyway. It's a little serious, sure, in the sense that like you guys.
But don't you think that's just kind of like a thing? For example, the viewpoints that come from here, that's kind of a response to something that's been happening for a very long time, which was going unchallenged for like decades, in the U.S. And
what are you referring to directly? I'm sorry.
I'm talking about how it seems like there's this agenda to basically tell men that they should stop being masculine, they should stop being men, they should be more feminine.
When do you think that started?
But there was an agenda, the opposite agenda.
Why is it that every male celebrity comes out and wears a dress? Every single one.
Because the status quo.
Would you say that every male celebrity does that?
I think every up and coming male celebrity, for some reason, can be photographed with a dress.
They got set
It challenges the status quo. I think the status quo has been this idea.
I don't think it challenges the status quo.
I think that it does, because I think since the 80s we've had this machismo idea.
But that's
of what
not the status quo.
Is.
That's something that actually comes from the people themselves. That comes from traditions. That comes from people's real lives. The status quo is the artificial.
Traditionalism can be the status quo.
Right, but the status quo is the artificial stuff that they make up there to impose on society.
But there's no inherent masculinity. It's all artificial.
You think masculinity is all artificial? It literally
is. Femininity and masculinity is a construct.
So it has no basis whatsoever in the historical responsibilities men have to assume, the wars they have to fight. They have to stand on business to protect their family and their loved ones.
Like biologically, do they have to stand on business?
They have to have a sense of honor in their dealings with other men to prevent violence. You don't think these things are
not
inherently
real? Not inherently.
So those are artificial.
Yes, those are artificially inflated constructs.
So who created them?
I don't think it was one person. Like, I don't want to be like, we live in a society.
The machine.
The machine.
Type
shit.
But don't you think that things like that reflect real experiences and real wisdoms?
I do. I do.
So how is it artificial then? Or is it just semantics? You're not saying that they're fake. You're just saying that.
Artificial in the sense that, like I said, it's not inherent, it's not connected to biology, and if we wanted to, we could change it. And to your point, that's what our generation is doing.
And there's
guys put on a dress
science
to question this idea of masculinity that we have and say it's not that you have to do this to be a man. You put a dress on and still be a man.
Mm-hmm. Right, but why is there this assumption that being a man is based in like you want to emulate some kind of appearance rather than necessity? Like, for example, honor is born out of necessity. You can want to look like however you want, but in terms of being able to deal and do business and have honorable relationships with others, that's out of necessity to prevent violence. That's out of necessity to coexist with other people. The need for men to protect is not something that's just because they want to look a certain way because from an 80s action movie. it's actually based in experiences and wisdom that's been passed on for generations and generations. So how could that be dismantled and voluntarily gotten rid of just because someone wants to?
That should not be dismantled. Those are characteristics of human beings. And I bet if you asked Fatima if somebody came for her son, if she would lay down and protect, absolutely, she does not need her husband.
Without, you know, look, I want to be inclusive and not make assumptions. I'm very progressive. But I have a suspicion that if she came across a man in a fight, I don't
No, go ahead.
It's a little ridiculous. Like, you could hold your own against a man in a fight.
I'll fuck the shit out
I don't doubt you. Listen. What you're really trying to
shit out of somebody.
And my man
thing.
fights with me. He's like, I'm the man. Like when we have little tiffs, he's like, sit behind me.
Look. Here's what you're trying to say. What you're trying to say is that you have the willingness out of love to protect your child.
Look,
that's exactly the problem. Just because you have the willingness and the intention doesn't mean you actually have the reality and the ability.
And let me
That's something objective.
Let me ask this to your point. If a man is coming down the alleyway, it's a man and his wife. What if the man is smaller than the woman? Should she not step up and stand on business and whoop some ass?
I think that men are generally, regardless of their size, stronger. Like
biologically, we do have a different.
There's
biologically different. They're bigger.
There's a quote from an old friend of mine, Zurka. And he says a 14-year-old boy can beat up 90% of women on Earth. And there's truth to that. There's truth to that. You know, it's just an inherent difference in the ability to be how strong you are.
You're absolutely right. Biologically, we are different. Like I cannot hit as hard as my man. My man's a professional boxer. He will knock somebody out. I can't do it. Punch! If anyone gets me to the point, I really can't control myself to kind of want to do that. I do have this protective. I probably
right, but you know, and that could be irrational though.
It definitely is irrational. I should not do that.
Right.
I should be quiet and probably let him do what he has to do.
Yeah,
but it's my biological, like it's nature to me. Like when you look in the wild.
This is what I'm trying to say when I say.
Why would it be irrational to protect your own child?
No. It could be irrational to do it in vain, where there's 100% chance you're gonna lose, and you're gonna.
What if you have a weapon to defend yourself and your child?
Different in Miami, we could carry here, y'all.
A weapon.
We can carry
in the United States, right?
Yeah, look, a weapon definitely changes things across the board. But
for sure.
At the end of the day, you know, fights are normal and they're part of life,
and
right? So if all fights are going to be settled with guns and weapons,
but this is going right back to your honor question. Why would a man physically think that he needs, if he knows that he is biologically stronger than a woman, why would he feel the need to then assert his dominance and physical aggression on a woman who is not able to defend herself and then being with a child?
There is 100% dishonorable men. There's 100% bad men.
But one thing I want to circle back to why I pulled Fatima in earlier was because the things that you listed earlier, you were just talking about the physical differences between men and women, but earlier the things that you listed that were inherent to patriarchy, to men, anyways, like honor, protectiveness, those are things that we possess as women as well. Those are not inherent to masculinity.
You have honor to your family, honor to your body.
Women do have their own form of honor 100%, but I would just say that masculine honor is also born of necessity, and it's different in nature.
And it's true. Like
women's honor, I think, is also born of necessity. It's about protecting their reputation. It's about making sure that, you know, nobody's going to be disrespecting them, talking about them badly. A lot of it more tends to focus on socially based, you know.
And it's interesting that you say these things are born out of necessity, because I don't disagree with you. I think that, like I said, we're born into a system that is capitalistic, that is patriarchal, that we're fighting for our life. Like, we're doing what we got to do. So I don't disagree with you that men and women behave the way that they do out of necessity in reaction to their environment.
I actually think that I think it's the opposite. I think capitalism is actually what has destroyed this traditional form of honor we're talking about for men and women.
I think that's what she was saying.
Capitalism was just an example of a system that
because you're saying it was born of necessity.
No, I'm saying that we're born into that system. We're born into a capitalist system. So we don't get the option to, like, not participate in capitalism is what I meant.
But what does that have to do with the
But because it was an example, we're born into systems that we don't get to control, such as patriarchy and such as capitalism.
Do you think capitalism upholds patriarchy?
Yes, and vice versa.
Well, that's the problem.
Because they're both rooted in exploitation.
But Well, the problem is that how can that be when capitalism, through, for example, promoting the sex industry, totally devastates and destroys a traditional family relationship?
Well, the reason why she said that was because they simultaneously help each other. It's not saying
No,
that
no, no,
they're
but I'm saying
directly related. They're indirectly related.
They don't help each other indirectly or directly. What ends up happening is that capitalism completely devastates traditional values between men and women.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't uphold patriarchy and that they're not both rooted in the same exploitation.
What patriarchy does? What is the patriarchy of systems turning dollars just for the sake of dollars?
So, I mean, on the topic of exploitation, you
Who's
brought
on
up the
that
porn
dollar
industry.
bill? Who's on that dollar bill? A man.
Well, also to make money from porn.
The men who's on the dollar bill are the men who fought with guns to fight to
make money
100%.
from porn, you have to exploit women. So that's
absolutely.
That's one example in which the interlinking between patriarchy.
We're talking about a bill to work on camera. They're willingly doing it. It's not against their will.
No,
yeah, but
you can't say that.
No, there's a difference between like individual. Like I said, there's micro situations and there's macro situations. In a micro situation, a woman may not be exploited, but the sex industry in general is exploitative.
If capitalism
women.
helps,
she made a choice.
If capitalism helps,
she or they,
she
like you're talking about, she individually or women in general make the choice to participate in sex.
Right, hold on, let me get a temperature read on the room here. Do you think the patriarchy benefits or hurts women? We'll start here.
Both.
Okay, if you had to pick one of the two, let's say 51% versus 49%.
Hurts women more.
Hurts women. Okay. What about you? Do you think the patriarchy benefits or hurts women?
Benefit.
Benefits. Okay. What about you?
I'll have to change that question.
This is tough. Because it can do both.
It could do both. I think it can
That's
do
what
both.
I'm saying.
Yeah, but which one is the more prevalent, if you were to say? You think it hurts more. Okay, what about you?
I think it could do both too, but I guess I'd say hurts.
Hurts more. Okay, what about you?
I think it does both. I think it different angles.
Yeah, but if ladies, I know it does both, but like which one if you had to pick?
Different situations, different angles, different like everything.
So when you total up everything in different angles,
Fine.
does it hurt more or benefit more? When you tally everything up and it's all said and done.
I think it can hurt for sure.
More. Okay. All right.
I think it hurts more.
Okay. What about you?
It negatively impacts women.
Negative impacts. Okay. What about you?
It hurts more.
It hurts more. Okay. What about you?
Where are we?
It could be beneficial because you can like actually rely on the man.
But which one does it do more? Does it hurt women more or benefit women more? I understand that there's pros and cons, but are there more pros or more? Okay. So is that every girl that said it hurts more pretty much?
Yeah.
Except for one. Except for Brew. Wait, you're the only one that said it benefits, right?
I think she doesn't understand the question.
No. Yes, I did. But I was like, you say choose one, right?
Choose one.
Yeah, does it hurt women more or benefit?
Most of them, they agree that it hurts, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you agree with them?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the woman, yeah.
So here's a question:
agree with that.
Is society becoming more or less patriarchal in your view?
Less.
Okay, we can start here and work our way around so I get an answer.
A little bit less.
Do you think society's becoming more or less patriarchal?
Less.
All right.
Okay.
You.
Less.
All right.
Less 100%.
All right.
Definitely a little bit less.
Okay.
Little by little, we're getting there. Less.
All right.
Less.
All right.
All yes?
We're all gonna say yes.
All less?
Yeah.
I think more.
Oh.
Okay, so you think it's actually become more of a patriarchy
I do. I think it's becoming more entrenched every day.
in relation to before?
Yeah.
In the past?
Yeah.
So you think you think we're more in a patriarchy now than we were in the past?
Yes, but I don't think that it's men that are more deeply entrenching patriarchy. I actually think it's women.
Explain that.
Like internalized misogyny?
Yeah, internalized misogyny and this idea that we can, act like a man and be a man.
Right.
It's like, like you guys said, like we're never going to be men. So it's like the things that men do, the things that men are, we don't do that. You know?
So you're saying it's because they're behaving like men?
Behaving like men, yes, but
also upholding the sexist
yeah, like I don't exactly like I don't want to go too deep and like start a rabbit hole. But
they're not your girl's girl.
Yeah, like when you start an OnlyFans, like you may think that you are empowering yourself, and to a degree you are, but also to a degree at the same time you are participating in a system that's exploitative.
But is it really useful to still call it patriarchy if it's just women doing it to themselves?
Well, I think that like you're misunderstanding like patriarchy.
The definition of patriarchy.
Yeah, patriarchy is not an attack on men. It's
no, yeah, but somehow men are supposed to be benefiting from this, right?
But they are. Even when women participate in it, men benefit from it.
And how do they benefit?
Because you
from
don't
that?
see all these OnlyFans. All these OnlyFans aren't guys.
The
right?
CEO
like,
of
there are
OnlyFans
a
is a
couple,
man.
definitely 100%. Like she said, the CEO of the actual company is a man.
Because here's why I'm saying that, because I think the kind of porn addicted men who are getting OnlyFans and are subscribing and stuff, I think they're destroying their soul, they're destroying their brain, they're destroying their health.
Yeah,
100%. Wow, that's I'm surprised you said that.
So I'm saying like it's not clearly not benefiting them.
But why do you personally as a man? Why do you feel
not
like it's like destroying their soul and like ruining their mind?
Well, because I think it's basically it's commodifying the experience of a relationship for them. It's basically giving them a false promise. And it's also doing something that's really unhealthy in my view, which is it's giving them this idea that sexuality can be bought and paid for. So it's destroying and it's abstracting sexuality from the context of actual concrete relationships, which are the bedrock of society. These are what are supposed to produce more people through families and so on and so on. And I think it's giving them an unhealthy idea as far as
expectations,
their expectations and their understanding of women in general.